Batman Arkham franchise redefined what licensed video game IPs can be. In a time where a game was tied to almost every highly anticipated Hollywood blockbuster put together along its movie counterpart and inevitably rushed to coincide with the movie's release date, to ultimately deliver a product that questioned the integrity of video games as an art form, Rocksteady rose to the occasion and showed the world how a studio's dedication and love for the source material could work wonders when the developers are given free rein over the project. Since then, licensed video games have come a long way in terms of quality and success. We've had some brilliant licensed games like Sony's Spider-Man, Telltale's Batman, and the Injustice franchise, to name a few. But then again, we have instances like Marvel's The Avengers, a franchise that can be considered perfect for the video game format, was ruined due to its publisher's ambition to make the most of the lucrative live service format. The final product was a mess, which made it evident that the live service model was nowhere close to a good match for the game. And that brings us to Guardians of the Galaxy, Square Enix's second go at a Marvel property on a AAA scale. Naturally, expectations for this game were low, despite Square's effort to hype the game, no thanks to their missteps with the Avengers. So I, like many others, went into the game expecting a lackluster attempt to make a quick buck out of the Guardians brand. When I put the controller down though, I was left with a well-warranted smile of satisfaction. Let me tell you all about it. Hi, I'm Ishak, and this is the review of Guardians of the Galaxy. The game sets off with the Guardians trying to get a payday and make a name for themselves in the process. You play exclusively as Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, which may seem like an odd choice when we have characters like Drax and Rocket Raccoon, but this choice works very much in favor of the game. For starters, the story is experienced through Peter's lens, and as such there is a singular point of view for the events that unfold, which works well in a linear story. Combat is designed with Peter taking the lead while the rest of the team does their own thing. Where it all comes together is in how the team aspect is built into the combat. Peter can command each member who have their own set of skills. For example, Groot can immobilize enemies by holding them down or tossing them in the air, while Gamora causes heavy damage to a single target. Drax can stagger tougher enemies, and Rocket specializes in a variety of grenades with different traits. Combining these abilities becomes key to tackle various types of enemies who force you to think of different approaches. You are rewarded with XP for successfully completing a fight, which provide ability points after every 1000 points collected. These points can be used to unlock new abilities for Peter and the team. That said, combat as a whole is a bit of a letdown. Peter's gun do very little damage, and the battle scene can get a bit too chaotic to keep a track of what's going on. For me, the default control scheme did take some getting used to during combat scenarios. But there is one aspect of combat which I really enjoyed, which I'll talk about in a bit.
There is nothing to figure out. As beast merchants, we will easily gain access to Lady Hellbender.
Good! We've already got a beast! All that's left is the merchant part!
Good thing I put on my official merchant costume!
When not in combat, the team is often on their way to the next area, and these moments make way for some good interplay within the team. Navigating the environment is never a chore for this reason alone. The player is often rewarded for going off the set path, as there are materials that provide ability upgrades, new unlockable skins, and text logs which add to the game's lore, all peppered throughout the world.
I am Groot.
I vote we sell Groot. I honestly think Lady Hellbender will go for it.
Yeah, well, I vote for not Groot.
I also vote for the creepy little beast.
2 votes each. Peter?
Well, Rocket's definitely scarier on the inside.
The team often faces conflicts within on how to approach certain issues or solve an argument between two members, often leading to some dialogue choices. These choices can sometimes have no tangible impact on the story or the characters, but can sometimes create entirely new branching paths. All of them ultimately lead to a predetermined storyline though, but to see how these choices play out and to get to that point is entertaining on its own.
Alright, let's do this. Let's go sell a monster.
We're not seriously flying into that.
The main plot is a grand cosmic adventure staying true to its comic book roots, where the Guardians try to make a name for themselves, save the galaxy, and find themselves in the process. It's a joyous ride filled with great humor and some poignant moments thrown in between.
Penny for your thoughts?
What is a penny?
We joined the Guardians in their early years as a team. Well, they're not quite the team yet. The members still have issues trusting each other. But they've gone through enough trouble to stay close and work on establishing the Guardians of the Galaxy as a brand across the many worlds. This makes for an interesting setting that not only results in some hilarious quips between the team, but also keeps avenues open for how they become the family of ragtags that we all know and love. There is some great chemistry within the team during story moments and in combat. The jokes land more often than not, and the game as a whole has a real fun vibe to it. This version of Guardians may seem derivative of their MCU counterparts, but the writing and voice acting is strong enough for them to hold their own. I'll even go as far to say that this version of Guardians may be my favorite, and the story told here is in some ways better than the two MCU films or the one from the Telltale game released some time ago.
Gardeners of the Galaxy?
What? No. Rocket. So I let Groot fill out the paperwork. I fixed it with an addendum.
Not the most well-known heroes you could hire, but definitely in the top 5 of most awesome names. Contributing members. Groot, a Flora Colossus, last of his kind, fearless in a firefight, an awesome best friend. Rocket, bona fide super genius and a wizard with explosives. Definitely not a raccoon. Gamora, adopted daughter of Thanos, deadliest woman in the galaxy. Need we say more? Drax the Destroyer, convicted serial murderer and galactic war hero, often grumpy. Last and definitely least, Peter Jason Quill.
That's it? That's all you wrote?
It was a character limitation.
Much of this feeling can be credited to the sense of familial bond within the characters that the writers have been able to project throughout the game. When we strip the game down to its basics, it comprises of a few elements like most linear games: combat, plot scenarios through cutscenes, navigate through corridors from one setting to another with the occasional puzzle thrown in, and punctuate these moments through some downtime in the hub area. The writers have been put through their paces in each of these scenarios. There is a whole lot of back and forth at pretty much any point in the game, and the player can feel those conversations evolving as the bond between the teams strengthens over time.
The assassin and the rodent. Without them and the tree fighting nobly beside us, we would not be alive right now.
I told you, they're not bad people just because they have a bad past. Life is complicated, Drax. Things are never simple.
One of my favorite features in the game is how the sense of camaraderie is implemented in combat. Combat scenarios are filled with banter between the team based on the context of the battle.
These guys regret Big Eye, 12 o'clock!
Current time is irrelevant. Bear, kill, now! Ah, that is much more informative.
And apart from Peter being able to command the team, there is a move that buffs up either the whole team or just Peter based on how the player performs. In most games, these kind of buffs will be presented as a magic potion that revives and buffs a team, or a beacon that grants new abilities or a temporary weapon, based on what game you are playing. But here, it is presented as a huddle in the middle of a fight, where Peter gathers the team for a pep talk.
Dudes, relax. We need to have each other's backs out there. No one's winning this on their own.
Successfully executing this results in enhanced abilities for the team, as they get back into battle with a sense of rejuvenation, all while a great soundtrack from the 80s plays in the background. Now, I'm not an 80s kid, and most of the many licensed songs in the game do not resonate with me. But after one such huddle, the battle continued with the final countdown playing in the background.
They just keep coming!
Now this is a song I'm familiar with thanks to some fond childhood memories. And that is when it clicked. I was feeling just as pepped as Peter and the rest of the gang, and my approach to the fight was far more aggressive this time around. This was big Guardians of the Galaxy silliness. It made perfect sense in terms of context, and I loved every second of it.
We've let ourselves get back into a corner!
Fight our way in, we can fight our way out!
To have this simple buff mechanic incorporated in such style and the effect it has on the player is a testament to the love and care that has gone into the project. The Deus Ex developers have truly outdone themselves here. As good as the writing is, Another aspect that stands shoulder to shoulder is the art direction, or visuals in general. We've had many games set in space before, but none as vibrant and as rich in its environment as the Guardians of the Galaxy. Every new area is different than the one before, and each one in the game has been crafted with utmost care. The graphical presentation is second to none, with some exceptional performance captures and facial animations, particularly in the main characters.
Coming from you, Peter, it's worth extraordinarily little.
Why are you being mean to him? Just listen to what he's saying.
I don't care what he's saying.
What, are you gonna kill us?
Despite the occasional visual bugs I encountered, I found myself being in awe at the visuals on display, and that is something I don't find myself doing very often. For the few shortcomings that this game has, the writing and visuals more than make up for it, making even the trivial task of solving an on-the-nose puzzle entertaining thanks to the team's banter.
I may have angered them.
Them?
We're being hunted.
Great! That's just...
All right. Let's try not to fall.
That's your pep talk?
As you may have gathered, the game is not perfect by any means. Combat needs an overhaul, the environmental puzzles often boil down to summoning one of the team members. There are visual bugs in the game even months after its release now. Oh, and there is no sprint button, which can be a pain while navigating through long corridors. But there are so many aspects that this game gets right, from its art style to its stellar writing, to characters that are so rooted to the comics while also feeling grounded, and the chemistry that the team has among them. This game is so much more than the sum of its parts. In many ways, Guardians of the Galaxy is a rare gem, where much of the big budget third-party releases today either go the open world route to provide hundreds of hours of gameplay, or go the live service and microtransaction route to justify the cost of production. This game does neither. It's a straightforward, honest to God, good old-fashioned single-player game with a great story that stays true to the brand and simply asks the player to enjoy the ride. To the shock of many publishers out there, this is exactly what us gamers want, and I'm ever so delighted to have gotten that type of game in a franchise that is as well known as the Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's hoping for the sequel sooner than later.
I love you too, you selfless son of a truck. Come on, Quill.
So what is your take on the Guardians? Who's your favorite character out of the bunch? Have you played the game yet? Sound off in the comments, let's have a conversation going. Until next time, I'm Ishak, and this review was brought to you by XE Gaming. You take care, stay safe, and keep gaming.
Oh, you're way too soft to be a monster, big girl. Yes, you are.